Hey everybody, today on Rahdo Runs Through, we are rounding up the month of July 2025. And folks, this is going to be a big episode. Lots of exciting stuff. Starting with the fact that in case you missed last month's roundup, I've recently been joined by James Wood of That Board Game Show, another YouTube channel covering board games. A link for his channel is down in the show notes. And James has offered his time to edit these roundups together, which saves me so many hours. So many hours, in fact, that I've got time to do an extra run through every month, thanks to James. So yeah, I was already excited about that. Last month's roundup looked better than ever before. He's putting more information about the games on screen, and it's just really elevating the show. But what's really interesting is James is going to be joining me in this month's roundup to talk a little bit about his own gaming experiences. And that's cool. It's not the first time that's happened, though. I used to have Shay and Ruel and the gang all appear and talk about games. James is going to be joining us, and here's where things get really, really interesting. You may or may not have heard, folks, of the Uganda Village Board Game Convention. I've talked about it several times over the years. Every year they do a fundraising campaign to put on an amazing multi-day convention for Ugandan kids from all around the region, and it's just an absolutely wonderful effort, a labor of love that these folks are putting on. And when they do it, I always ask you folks to help out by donating. Now, this year we're doing something a little bit extra because James's mom, Sonia, was able to do an interview with Ben and some of the kids who are going to be at the convention. It's the first time anything like this has ever happened on the channel, an actual interview with people. And so I want to say in advance, thank you to James, and thank you to Sonia, and thank you to Ben, and thank you to the kids for making all this possible. We're about to play that interview, and then we'll come back and we will hear what James has been up to gaming in the month of July. And then after those two segments, we'll get to me doing a countdown of 12 new games. But there'll be something else I've got to throw in as well. So this is maybe one of the biggest roundups ever, folks. And without any further ado, let's throw over to Sonia. I'm excited to see this myself.
It's absolutely fantastic that we can speak to you. Here we are in South Africa, and there you are in Uganda. And so technology is an amazing thing. But we actually think that board games are an even more amazing thing than technology, although we're very grateful that we can have this opportunity to speak to you guys. And I have a question for you. Do you like board games?
Yes. Yes, it makes me to have a lot of fun because when I'm playing the board game, I always laugh. I'm learning something because when we are playing board game, we used to speak in English. So as I speak right now, I have a very good English and I speak always English because when we are playing the board game, we used to play in English. So I'm learning the English.
Whenever I learn a board game, and not only learning, some other times I get time to teach the board games to other people. I feel that I achieve a lot in my life. Personally, when I carry on with the teaching, I feel like though I am not yet a teacher, I'm doing something that my teachers do in class. And besides that, I've played quite a number of games, and the ones I like most is Terraforming Mars, which mainly deals with me knowing how to use my resources, to use, I could say, money or dimes to acquire certain things, and then how it's just about me managing my resources. Now I feel I really learn a lot from that because at the end of the game, personally, I know that if I have certain things, I should know how to use them, how to get good things out of them. And the other thing that I feel that I really achieve greatly when I'm playing these games is my connections with others. At times in our school, I get to teach new people that I've never met before in life, and at the end of the game, they're my friends. They're people I love, the people I just talk to, and that is the most wonderful thing that I feel I achieve when I carry on with the board games.
Yeah, I feel like I'm learning, but in the learning aspects depends on the games that I'm playing. If I'm playing games like Atiwa, I'm basically learning about coexistence with wildlife. And if I'm playing Seven Wonders, I'm learning about the past Egyptian what civilization. If I'm playing about, let me say, cosmetic encounter, I'm learning about the different planets and how well the technology is used in it. So it gives me a lot of skills. And then the social aspects, as my colleague spoke earlier, it also allows me to talk with others and like link with them, make them my friends, and I their friends too at the end of the game if I'm teaching them. And if I'm learning, it also creates that bond between me and the person teaching the game.
When I'm playing the board games, I feel like I'm playing in the board game as the main character in it, and I get to know each other when I'm teaching. Like in the last convention that we had, I was teaching some few people from this side, so I made friends with them, and we were able to interact ourselves. Yeah, so like the game in Harry Potter, you can be like playing the character in the movie. Like when you are playing Harry Potter, the character, you will do some. You'll be like doing the same thing that he did in the movie, in the real movie. Yeah. So, like in and the other game is photosynthesis. When you are playing it, it helps you to know how to conserve the environment and the trees, and to interact and how they interact themselves, and how they connect and they are changed as they do.
Okay, when I'm learning about game, I feel comfortable and I feel like I'm improving on my talents. Like even my vocabularies through reading, I always find new words that make my vocabularies to improve, and even it makes me to create friends. Like in our school, there is good friendship just because of board game. Because every time when we are free, we are learning board games, different kinds.
Hi there, James here. And firstly, I'd like to say thank you, Richard, for all the hard work you've put into Rahdo Runs Through over the years. You've really provided an invaluable source to the hobby, and to me personally. I'm thrilled that I'm able to contribute back in this small way, helping out with editing and lightening your workload a bit. And it was a true privilege to be able to sit down with the children from the Uganda Village Board Game Convention and hear from them directly how much of a difference board games are making in their lives. It really was incredible to see. And if you can support in any way, you will be making a huge difference to countless lives of the children in Uganda. And now onto what we've been up to here in South Africa. This month we've been focusing on playing a lot of cooperative campaign games, and a couple of the highlights have been Trudvang Legends, one of my mom's all-time favorites, which is based off of a Swedish RPG of the same name. And it's basically an RPG in a box, where you take on a character and you go exploring through Nordic, Scandinavian myth and legend. And it really strikes home to us because we're actually of Norwegian descent. So that really adds an extra layer for us personally. But in general, we really just enjoy the gameplay and the mechanisms and the miniatures and the art. It's a really great time overall. Then we've also been playing The Lord of the Rings, Journeys of Middle-earth. In fact, we've just wrapped up our 4th full campaign for it, and that's now clocking up, I think, over 90 hours of gameplay. So clearly, we've quite enjoyed that one, and we've really enjoyed just exploring Middle-earth and taking our characters on an adventure. Again, it's another RPG in a box type of game. And then something that isn't an RPG in a box is our attempt at playing Pandemic with all 3 of its expansions plugged in, which was a lot of fun and incredibly tough. It really ramps up the complexity and the difficulty of Pandemic to a whole new level. And we had a lot of fun just trying to survive it, although we didn't succeed once. And lastly, this month on That Board Game Show, I posted 2 videos for Nemo's War 2nd edition. One being an explainer video, where I explain the game, show you how it plays, play through a few turns, and just give you a general sense of the gameplay, the rules, and how it all works. And the second one being a What's in the Box video for Nemo's War, where I opened up the box and showed you what's inside. And with that, I shall say cheerio for now, and back over to Richard.
And thank you, James and Sonia. Okay, folks, before we get to my countdown, one more bit of business has got to be done. Every month in the roundup, I like to let everybody know what new videos went up as exclusives for backers of the show, either here on YouTube as members or over at patreon.com. We always have 6 new videos. And what are they? James is going to throw stuff up on the screen. The bunch of games got played by me and Jen. You can see a full playthrough of Tiny Towns with the Architects expansion, Flip Tunes, my Shelfie, the dice game, and Tic Tac Trek. So 4 full games played through, depending on what level you back at. I did my monthly ramble, where I expanded upon my Gen Con roundup. I talked for another hour about probably close to 50 more games that are going to be at the convention, so that might be interesting for folks. I did another Q&A answering questions that are submitted to questions@rahdo.com. And the fun thing about the Q&A is, at the end of it, I did a quick tour of this new filming room I'm in now that I live in Ireland, and I also did a quick tour of how I've set up my gaming shelves. So my collection has made it over. It's all shelved, and I'm pretty happy with the results, and folks get to see that. And then finally, as always, we did the Gen Jogs, which is my wife's version of this show, where she does a ranking of all the games we played. And what's really interesting is one of the games we talked about is probably going to be in her top 10 games of the year. That very much surprised me. She liked it so much. But anyway, so those are all exclusives. You can follow the link down in the show notes to learn more about helping Rahdo run and keeping the game going if you'd like to see some of that. But without further ado, let's begin the countdown of the games of July. I'll start with my least favorite and end with a new game of the month. I've got 12 things to talk about, and we're going to start with number 12 on the list, Lorcana, with the Deep Trouble and Palace Heist expansions. And I have to admit, I was not really that interested in playing Lorcana because, for folks who don't know, this is a Magic the Gathering style dueling wizards game where players sit across the table from each other and play cards to summon characters to beat the crap out of each other. That's what Magic the Gathering is and so many other games. And what makes Lorcana stand out is it's full of Disney characters. It's all Disney licensed stuff. So I love Disney and Pixar stuff, and I was curious to give the game a try, even though I'm not a big fan of Magic the Gathering. But I knew Lorcana did several things to kind of improve upon the Magic formula. I have to admit, having played Lorcana now, I'd rather play it over the Magic the Gathering. But what was really interesting to me was not dueling wizards where, hey, I'm having my Mickey Mouse try to take out your the Beast from Beauty and the Beast or something like that. What I wanted to do was play it cooperatively. And the Deep Trouble and more recent Palace Heist expansions allow you to work with somebody to take out either Ursula the Sea Witch from Little Mermaid or Jafar from Aladdin. And that's why I was really excited. I played it as a solo game and with my wife as a 2-player game. And I gotta say, as a 2-player game, it was okay. It's obvious that the game is still designed first and foremost to be players trying to beat each other up instead of players working together to beat up an extra character who is more powerful than everybody else. But it works. I could see it being an interesting alternative for people who love Lorcana and just want to mix it up a little bit, or maybe get people who wouldn't otherwise be interested to play with them. But I still think Lorcana is at its best as a competitive head-to-head game. Now, I will say I was not a fan of playing these solo very much at all because it felt way too luck swingy. You can see on screen, I was actually trying to record, playing the Jafar Heist, and I just got so frustrated I couldn't actually finish it. It was, as a solo game, there is just so much luck involved with what the bad guy will do. Now, played as a 2-player game, which I played Deep Trouble with my wife Jen, I found that worked much better because 2 players working together could kind of even it out and, ride the wave and have opportunities to help each other, to time, I'm going to play some cards and you're going to play some cards. Because the best thing about these is that, first of all, the bad guy goes, and then players players don't have to, I'm going to take my turn, then you take your turn. We can mix and match, and I can do a couple things, and then I can help you do a thing, and then finish my stuff. I think the freedom you have is really well considered. And I mean, overall, it works nicely. I would not consider this to be a primary way to play Lorcana. I still think, as I said, it's best as a competitive game. And as a competitive game, I have no interest in it. So that's why it comes in at the bottom of the list. But I wouldn't turn down a game of it. It wasn't bad. I just don't think I'd want to play it solo very much, unless you're a real glutton for punishment. So anyway, that is number 12, Lorcana, with the Deep Trouble and Palace Heist cooperative / solo expansions. Then we move on to number 11, Treos. I was really excited about this one because it's from publisher Lookout Games, and who are known primarily for Agricola and similar economic Euro simulations. That's kind of what they do. But Treos is a pick up and deliver adventure game, which is very outside the realm for them. And so I was really interested to see what that would look like. And there's a lot of really cool stuff, especially because this is an action programming game, something I very much like. Now, here's the way it works. Hold on. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me interrupt myself to say, because I forgot when I was talking about Treos, to say thank you to Steph Hodge and Michael of All the Games, another great YouTube channel, for, as always, doing a phenomenal job teaching us how to play the game and then demonstrating the game. That's the video that's on screen right now, so you can see Treos in action. There's a link for Steph's video down in the show notes, so you don't have to hear me blather about this game. You can actually see it and decide for yourself if it looks like fun. But anyway, back to whatever I was just saying. Okay. At the beginning of each round, each player is going to have a hand of 4 cards. And these cards say how you can move your little adventurer around the big randomly generated map. Whether if you play a card, it might say, you can move on any river. Or it might say, you can move anywhere from northwest down to southeast. You can move anywhere in those directions. And when that card gets played, it determines how, you already know how far you're going to go. And over the course of the game, you can speed up and travel farther. But it also, and the cards say how far you can go. That's what it is. The cards tell you how far you can go and what directions you can go in. And so at the beginning of a round, you've got 4 cards. You're going to play 3 of them. 1 to say how you're going to move in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 1 in the evening. And everybody's making that decision in secret. Then we reveal it, and there's another card that you play that determines. So maybe you draw 5 cards and you play 4 cards. 3 of them are movement. 1 of them is how fast you're going to move, and then 1 of the cards is gone, discarded. I think that's how it worked, if I recall correctly. Anyway, after we all reveal, we find out who gets to go first, and then you actually play out that programmed movement, that fun little puzzle of how I want to get from point A to point B to point C. Well, I work it all out. But here's the trick. In addition to programming those cards, one of those 3 cards, the morning, the afternoon, or the evening, we actually mark in a special way to indicate that's when the highwaymen, the evil robbers of the land, will move as well. And so I might say that, hey, my strongest card that lets me move the farthest, I'm also going to have the highwayman move when that happens. And so when that comes up, I get to move myself, however the card says I get to do to, complete my objectives and, go on quests and side quests and all that kind of stuff. But I also get to move the highwaymen. And how do I move them? I try to move them as best I can to screw with you and get in your way and mess up what it is you want to achieve. And honestly, I don't understand why that was here. It takes what is otherwise a very pleasant and fun little puzzle of a game that's really a great gateway into programmed movement, a good introduction for casual players. But then it just adds this kind of spiteful mechanism that you have to use it every single round, to best effect to try to mess with your opponent's plans. And I just don't get why that's here. If it weren't for that, this game would rank so much higher on my countdown this month. And I wish, sure, I like the idea of, we have this extra character who's going to move around surprising ways. Make them a positive thing. Make them a traveling merchant, that I'm not trying to move them to mess with you and block your path to where you need to go, because I can see what your quests are. I know what it is you need to do. And if I'm smart about how I can do it, I can really mess with you, which is why playing the initiative cards is so important, to go quick so that your plans won't get scuppered by your opponents. But if those weren't highwaymen, but instead they were merchants, and instead I'm trying to move them to me so that I could, get bonuses along the way, and maybe I'll go out of my way to, and that becomes the puzzle. A positive puzzle, that would have been phenomenal. I don't get it. I just don't understand who this game is for, quite frankly. It's for families that really just want to mess with each other and ruin each other's plans. And if that's what you're looking for, and you're looking for a clever, fun, fast-playing action programming system to do it in, well, you know what? You're in luck, because Treos is out there. Unfortunately, that's not what my wife and I want, which is why it comes in at number 11 of the month. It's a real heartbreaker because, the event system, everything about this game works wonderfully, except it's just got a dark beating heart at the center of it. Anyway, then let's talk about number 10 of the month. It is One Card Dungeon. Now, this is a solo-only game that is interesting. The game literally has just one card, one big tarot-sized card to represent 12 levels of a dungeon that you are solo style trying to make it through, going deeper and deeper and deeper. Every time you reach a new floor of the dungeon, you get to level up, you get to your strength or your defense or your speed, or your attack range. Depending on which of the 4 characters you play, you get a special power you can use once per floor, and you can consider winning if you make it all the way to the 12th floor and beat all the bad guys there, and you level up along the way and all that. But how does it work? Well, it has one card and a handful of dice. The green die represents you. You can have up to 6 hit points, and and you move yourself around. There are white dice that represent your stat levels for your strength, your speed, your defense, and your, whatever was the fourth one, your range, your attack range. There are red dice that represent the bad guys, and on each floor there's going to be a different type of bad guy with different stats. First floor is skeletons, first floor is spiders, then skeletons, and you just get tougher and tougher as you go, but you're leveling up as you go deeper and deeper. And you also have 3 black dice. Those are the energy dice. Every round you roll those dice and assign them to your strength, your defense, or your speed. And so if you roll like a 6, a 1, and a 4, well, do I want to become a really strong attacker this turn, or do I want to up my speed so I can run away from the bad guys, or do I up my defense because I think I'm going to take a real beating? That's the fundamental choice you make every round. With these 3 dice, am I going to become stronger, better defended, or faster? And then I use the strength, defense, and speed I've got from those dice and try to outmaneuver the bad guys represented by the red dice and do damage to them before they can hit me. It's a really clever system, and it's surprisingly puzzly to deal with. But I should also say, man, it is challenging. It is a super rough game to play. I played it several times and could not make it past. I think one time I got to the 4th floor and I'm doing something wrong, because it is a challenging game. But I'm really not a solo gamer, so solo games tend to be pretty high at the end of my list, and I can't really play it cooperatively with my wife Jen. But I think it's clever. I could certainly see. The way the card works is there's 2 sides of the card, and the card shows different spawn locations depending on whether you're on level 1 or level 3 or level 5 or level 7 or level 10. On one side of the card, levels 2, 4, 6, 8, and it shows the different spawn points and the different monster stats and all that. It's really smart. Clever design, and if you're looking for the most portable, fast-playing dungeon crawl the industry has ever seen, that, by the way, you can save your progress. It comes with a piece of paper so you can jot down where you are in the dungeon and then just reset up and continue later, because it can take upwards of an hour to finish a full dungeon delve. It's a very impressive, fun little game, but again, folks, I can't stress enough, it's based on roguelike video game type things, which are known for their difficulty, and man, this game is brutal in the best possible way. If you're looking for a solo game, you might want to check out number 10 of the month, One Card Dungeon. Alrighty. Then we move on to number 9 of the month, Rajas of the Ganges, Cards and Karma. Now, this was I was very excited about, because I love the designs of Inca and Marcus Brand. I thought Raja of the Ganges was really, really great. And but it's a big game. It's a long game. I love the idea of trying to get the feel of it, capturing a quicker, tighter package. And I should say, this card game version of Raja of the Ganges is thematically consistent, but really it's a very, very different game with a lack of dice. Although not really. Here's the thing. The game is full of two-sided cards. One side of the card is, a person you could hire, or a market you could go to, or a palace you're trying to build. And on the other side of each of these cards is a die. And what happens is, on your turn, you can see, oh, there's a big grid of cards. I'm going to grab one of those cards. If I take it as a die, I can see that, oh, on the other side of that card, it's purple. But I don't know if it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So if I choose, I could take this card because I need more purple dice, which are represented by cards in my hand. I've got, 4 or 5 cards in my hand, 6, 7. I think the maximum cards you can have is 8, if I recall correctly. Anyway, I might see a card that says, oh, I need to have 11 total purple points, purple dice pips, to be able to get that palace that I really want to build, because it's going to, unlock a bunch of bonuses for me, right? So I'm trying to get purple cards. I see there's another purple card, which if I take it, I know it's purple, but it's not until I take it in my hand, I flip it over and see, oh, it was a purple 4, or it was a purple 1, or it was a purple 5. That's kind of reflecting dice. It's like you rolled a die and you revealed the backside of the card to yourself. You kept it secret, and okay, I'm getting closer to making that palace or whatever. Or it was a 1. Crap. Oh, but it's a 1. There's that other card over there that says I can only get that card if I spend a 1 pip die. So I thought I was trying to do this to be able to get that, but now I could pivot and get that other thing because I didn't have any 1 pip dies. Now I've got one. So every turn, you're either going to grab dice for or cards for their dice value, or you're going to spend those cards as dice to get the other stuff you want to build, the palaces, the special actions, and all of that. And really, the crux of the game is you're trying to get sets of 3 of a given type of card, because that's when, boom, you get to cash them in and get bonuses, points, money, powers, all kinds of stuff. And that's the crux of the game, and it's really sharp. I like it a lot. So why does it come in so low? Here's the trick to it. Like I said, I've got to get 3 ships, or 3 matching palaces, or 3 unique palaces. I always got to get 3 things to be able to cash them in and get the big reward. I can, at every step of the way, see, oh, you've got 2 yellow palaces. You just need 1 more. Oh, and look, there's a yellow palace over there. And you've been waiting half the game for that yellow palace, haven't you? And it just hasn't shown up. Well, it'd be a real shame if on my turn, I just went over there and took that as a blue die. I don't even care about blue dice. But there's none of the cards I want out here, so I guess I better take one that really ruins your day. And as the game goes on and players are more and more desperate to, get that perfect ship you need to complete your set or whatever it is, you can so mess with your opponent in this game. It is one of the more cutthroat hate drafting style games I have ever played, because all of my goals are open information. You can see exactly what I want. You know how desperate I am to get that orange die. I need to take that as an orange die because I've been collecting orange dice for half the game, and I can finally get that really expensive thing. And you say, oh, well, okay, too bad, I'm just going to take it. Or, oh, I'll just take the thing you want to buy. Now that I got the orange die, yes, I'll finally be able to get, oh, too bad, you just destroyed that for me. It's a big part of the game, and this is very much an in-your-face interactive thing where you need to pay attention to what your opponent wants, because as often is the case where, oh, that die would be really nice for me, but as good as that is for me, it would be much better for you if I let you get that other card. I better get that one out of the way and then find a way to use it myself. I really like the design of this a lot, but there's no 2 ways about it. It is one of the more brutal hate drafting style games I've played in quite a while, so it's not for me and Jen, which is why, as brilliant as the design is, because it is a very fast, fun, satisfying game to play as a 2-player head-to-head, it still comes in at number 9 of the month for me and Jen, Rajas of the Ganges, Cards and Karma. Okay, then we go on to number 8, My Shelfie, the dice game. And now my wife loves the original My Shelfie, which for folks who don't know is basically Connect 4 turned into a modern, design Euro-style game. And it's absolutely brilliant. I've covered it on the channel before. I think I might even played it with Jen when I filmed it because she loved the game so much and was always looking for an excuse to play it. So I was really excited to try the dice game, which is basically a roll and write. What are we trying to do in the game? We are trying to get all our shelves of doodads and knickknacks lined up perfectly. Get our board games on the right shelf, get our trophies on the right shelf, get our kittens, our cats, our pets on the right shelf. And while it used to be this fun Connect 4 style thing where you were drafting tiles and trying to get them into the right spot and racing players to complete objectives, now it is a Yahtzee style roll, see what you got, and then you could re-roll some combination of dice 2 more times to try to get the best combo of dice. Very Yahtzee-ish. About the same level of complexity and depth as Yahtzee. A bit more complex because there's like a spatial game to it, but it's about the same level as Yahtzee. And it's fine. It's nice. It's fast, it's fun, it's breezy, it's a quick 10-minute game. I guess it plays a little bit more because everybody has to take turns. It's not like it's a bingo style game where everybody just deals the dice. It's my turn, I'm going to re-roll the dice, but the turns are so fast. And the thing is, as soon as I finish up a row or a column, too bad if you were working on it, you have to X out the rest of those spaces. So that's the main place where the interaction comes in, because we're racing to complete these rows and columns to get the most points out of them. But if I beat you to it, then it gets eliminated for you and everybody else around the table. It's fun. I would certainly play it more than Yahtzee. And I would introduce it to people who like Yahtzee. I'm like, you can do a lot more with that re-roll thing. Like I said, it's about the same depth and complexity. It's a faster game than Yahtzee ever was. And it's a nice looking game. I wouldn't mind playing it, but it's certainly not one I'd ever seek out because it is so lightweight. There's no special powers. There's none of that stuff. A really simple, clean, fast, elegant game. And if you've got people in your life and you're trying to wean them off of Yahtzee or similar games into the broader world of modern board games, I think that is the best use case for number 8 of the month, My Shelfie, the dice game. Then we go on to number 7 of the month, Bomb Busters. And I have not filmed it, but I'm using a video from the channel Where There's a Wills. They did a great 2-player run through. Looks fantastic. And so that's on screen. Link for their video is down in the show notes. If you want to watch them, give it a go. But the reason I wanted to play this game is, did it win the Spiel des Jahres? I forget. I know it was nominated for the Spiel des Jahres, and I think it won the Spiel des Jahres, which is like, okay, well, crap, I got to play this game, in a big bad way. And so Jen and I sat down. Like The Crew, this is a game with a very simple set of deduction-based cooperative rules where we're all working on a common goal. We can't talk openly about what we have in front of us, and we're hoping, based on the moves we make, that our teammates can deduce what it is they need to know so they can make the right moves. In this game, we're trying to defuse bombs. And I forget, the game comes with 20 or 30 different little mini scenarios that introduce all kinds of fun new twists on the game and all of that. So that's really, really great. Tons of replayability. And the core, I can see why it was nominated. And again, I'm pretty sure it won. I'm sure, folks, let me know down in the comments. Did it win? Or probably James has already put on the screen if it won or didn't. Anyway, I could see why it's gotten all the accolades it does. And I should say, my wife actually enjoyed it quite a bit. Me, I am just not the biggest fan of deduction. And the thing is, to play this as a 2-player... I haven't said how to play it. All right, in a nutshell, here's the way it works. I've got a bunch of wires in front of me that all have to be snipped. The whole bomb defusal, snip the right wires in the right order. So do you. I don't know what you have in front of you, but on my turn, what I'll do is I'll point at one of your things, because I can't see what it is, and I'll say that's a 4, or that's a yellow. And if I'm right, then we reveal it, it's snipped, and I also snip my own 4 or my own yellow. I can't say that's a 4 unless I've got a 4 myself. So me even saying that's a 4, that's telling you I've got a 4 somewhere in front of me. So that's a bit of information right there. And if I guessed correctly, or I deduced based on moves you made before, then hey, we get to snip your 4 and my 4, and we're closer to victory. If I missed it, well, then you still reveal what it really is, which is useful for me because now I know, that was a 6. Okay, I know you still got a 4 somewhere, so it must be to the left of that. Is it that one or that one? I'll try to figure that out later, but now I know where a 6 is. Cool, I could snip that one later because I've got a couple of 6s or whatever. But every time you make a mistake like that, you get crucial information. Everybody gets information, but the bomb is one step closer to blowing up. That's the crux of the game. And the more stuff gets revealed, for good or bad, the more informed you are if you can figure out all the stuff. And so I like that, and I love all the little twists that come up and the different little mini missions. The thing I don't like is to play this as a 2-player game. It's really a 4-player game, and I am personally controlling 2 players worth of stuff that has to be done, and so are you. And the thing is, as soon as I look at everything I've got half of all the wires and you've got the other half. So I immediately know, oh, I've got 3 6s and you have the other 6. I just know that automatically. And so while the game becomes harder because we've got a lot more that we have to do, it becomes easier as well because I've got much more perfect information about what you must have, because unlike the crew where there was a neutral third player that created a little bit more of that uncertainty, here there's none. And for me, that makes me feel like this game, it works as a 2-player game. It works fine. It's a fun little puzzle. But the whole time I'm playing, I'm thinking, man, this would be so much better at 3 or 4 players. When somebody else goes for the 4, and now I know they've got a 4, and then they miss it, but now I see that they've got a 6, and I know you've got a 4. I know where your 6 is. I don't know where your 4 is. That's going to be a lot better than the way they did the 2-player game. Now, I'm sympathetic. It's going to be hard to recreate that, but you know what? They did it for the crew. They didn't do it here. And so for me, I came away thinking, wow, brilliant game. Would love to play it as a 3 or 4. As a 2-player game, not really for me. Plus, I'm just not the biggest deduction fan in the first place, which is why Bomb Busters, in spite of all the accolades it's gotten, comes in at number 7 of the month. Then we've got number 6 of the month, Tic Tac Trek. This is another 2-player only game. I played several of those this month. And it is a wonderful, charming little game of gamers tic-tac-toe, for lack of a better word. Here's the way it works. We are out hiking in a forest on a Tic Tac Trek, trying to set up campgrounds and score points. The way we do it is on our turn, and as part of setup, I'm X's or I'm O's. I'm hugs or I'm kisses, and you're the other. And on my turn, I pull a tile out of a bag. It's I flip it to, if I'm the O, I flip it to the O. It's my O, and it's either going to be forest or mountain or clearing or lake or whatever, the different colors. And whatever color it is, I have to add it to the central forest that we're exploring together. I have to add it next to the other dark green forest or the other blue mountains or whatever it is. There's the lakes that can go anywhere because they're kind of a wild. But most of the time, I've got to expand existing stuff. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put them out there so that I can create 3 in a row, horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. I'm trying to create a tic-tac-toe because if I can do that, on the tile that created that tic-tac-toe, I get to put one of my little campfires, and those are the things that score points. They score points if they're on the outskirts of the forest because the more empty spaces there are around them, the more points they're worth. So as soon as I get a tic-tac-toe, and believe me, folks, I know you think, oh, tic-tac-toe is impossible. In this game, it's impossible. You're going to be getting a lot of tic-tac-toes. Have you ever thought, man, I really wish I could actually get a tic-tac-toe in tic-tac-toe? This is the game for you because it's so clever. You can see me and Jen playing a game of it. It's really, really quick. You can spend a little bit of time thinking about how you might want to cut off the expansion of your other player, but you're really mostly trying to set yourself up for success. But as soon as I put a campfire down, if nothing else, if you don't have anything better to do with it, you want to fill in the spaces around my campfire so my campfire is not worth as many points. Although there are very few points in this game. It's fun. It's fast. It's an in-your-face aggressive. I guess you could say sort of it's an area control sort of game, but it's over so quick and it's so charming. Its presentation is phenomenal. I can see. I suspect this is going to be a game that a lot of people fall in love with, and it comes in the tiniest little Altoid tin box. That just means you can put it in your pocket, you can bust it out, you can play it anywhere, including on the seat back of a plane if you're on a long flight. It's really sharp. I like it a lot. It's not my cup of tea. It is still a very chess-like move, counter move. I'm spending in this game more time focusing on what I want to do and less on trying to stop you. But still, there'll be plenty of times where I'm really just trying to mess with you, and it's just not my favorite kind of thing. But for a game of this type, I rate it higher than almost any other chess-like head-to-head. I would rather play this game over Hive A Million Ways to Sunday, as an example. It's simple, it's fast, it's the kind of thing you play, okay, let's put them back in the bag, let's go again, because it's just fun in a tiny little package, really nicely done, and the presentation is absolutely lovely. Number 6 of the month, Tic Tac Trek. Okay, then we go on to number 5 of the month, Chaos Cove. Now, I was super stoked for this game because it's from designer Martin Wallace, one of the greatest modern designers of board games working today. This is a big, sprawling, bombastic, semi-cooperative worker placement game, which, by the way, I should say I have not done a run-through of it, but the gang from the Dice Tower, they played a big 4-player live stream of it, so I'm just throwing that on screen. There's a link for their live stream down the show notes if you want to watch it in action. But what is the game? Well, we are all players working quasi together to protect Chaos Cove, this wonderful little village, from an onslaught of pirates and barbarians, bears and rats. Every round there's going to be a waves of them crushing into the town. And if we don't fight them off, if too many of them successfully make it past our defenses and breach the walls, everybody loses. So we are all working to make sure that doesn't happen by doing worker placement type stuff. Harvesting resources, converting resources into other resources, activating special powers to make our workers more powerful, all kinds of stuff so that we can build up ships to fight off the pirates, forts to fight off the barbarians, and getting the weapons we need, because we will spend, first there's all the worker placement, then there is all the, there's some engine building stuff. We do our worker placement to build our engines, then we run our engines to get all the resources, the weapons we need to then fight. And if too many of them make it through, everybody loses. If we fight them off enough, we live to fight another round, and we go through, if I recall correctly, 4 rounds. And at the end of the game, whoever did the best at fighting stuff off, plus building defenses and all the ways you can score points, will win. There's only one winner, but everybody could lose. Yeah, that's the definition of a semi-cooperative game. Now, right off the bat, that means for some people, this is going to be a no-go, because I guess there are some groups out there where you have players who are just such sourpusses that if they feel they're losing, they will purposely try to tank the game and destroy everybody else's good time. And that's disappointing. Now, it's clear the developers feel it, because they actually say that if somebody purposely tries to sabotage the game because they feel they can't win and they'd rather everybody lose, that they are officially the biggest loser. Which I appreciate that, the developers have a sense of humor about it, but that is the reality. You're the biggest loser if you are that player. If you decide, you know what, I'm probably not going to win, so I want everybody to lose. I want this entire town to go down in flames. Well, to heck with you. If I ever see that happen to me, you're a player I don't want to play with again in the future, I have to admit. But still, there are players out there, and if you have people like that in your group, you may find that you don't want to play this game. But semi-co-ops, I have found, are a wonderful joy. That mix of, we're all in it for ourselves, but sometimes we have to come together for the greater good, because I can't win the game if everybody dies. And if I'm playing to win, I'm playing suboptimally if I don't help you in your moment of need. And that will come up quite a bit, because these bad guys, they level up so fast and they are so devastating. And sooner or later, there's going to come a time when you're defending and we can all see that you're going to fail. And that means the 5th pirate is going to break through, or the 4th or the 5th pirate is going to break through, and we're all going to lose. And here's the deal. I haven't actually talked much about what you do in the game. I'm just talking about the big picture. But there's 2 things. You have, every round, you have 4 workers, and they all have unique special powers, and you have a handful of cards that are tied to those workers. My workers and your workers and everybody else's workers around the board. Every round, you're going to get a new set of those 4 workers. And when you send a worker out to the board, you do 3 things with that worker. The worker special power, the special ability of the worker placement spot you went to, and you get to harvest goods from that location in town as well. That means every turn in this game is bigger than most other worker placement games you ever played, where, I just do one little thing. In this game, it's like you get to do 3 games worth of worker placement stuff with every single worker you do. And that's the first puzzle of the game, is trying to figure out, right, I want to use this power, but I want to use that building. Do they combo well together, or maybe I should send somebody else? But then the other thing is, everybody's got a bunch of cards. And as soon as you send out Terry the Turtle, I can't remember the characters' names, and you put that out there, I have some Terry cards. If Terry is on the board, that means on my turn, I can play Terry cards and activate Terry's powers myself, either to do a similar special power to what Terry normally does when you use them, Or I can save those cards so that when the big attack happens, and remember, we get back to the spot where you're in trouble and you're not going to fight off the pirates that are attacking you and we're all going to lose, I could say, oh, it's a good thing I saved my Terry cards now, because you can put everything, you can use your cannons and you can use your powder monkeys and all that stuff. You're still 5 points short. Well, that's okay. I've got a couple of Terry cards, and combined, they'll do those last 5 points of damage, and I can play them on behalf of you and save the day. And I love that. I love a competitive game where sometimes you have to put your differences aside and work together for the greater good. I've loved it in CO2 and many other games over the years, because I play with somebody who's not a sour grape, sourpuss type player. I try to save the day as much as I can. I think of it as a co-op first and a competitive game second. So all that, and so the crux of this game, the really excellent worker placement gameplay. I love that every worker is a combination of their special power, the board special power, and harvesting abilities. That's just awesome, and it never gets old. In every round, you're going to get a new collection of them, because all the workers, they kind of go round robin around the table. That's really nice. And personally, I like semi-co-op. So why did Chaos Cove come in at number 5? There's one mistake I kind of feel like they made with the development of this game. In that example I gave, where I saved the day and you couldn't finish the job, but I finished the job and I gave up some of my resources. We can only help each other by using cards. There's lots of things we have, but I can't use my cannons to help you. I can't use my other things. I can only use my cards. And once they're spent, they're gone. And here's the deal. I get nothing for helping you. I don't get, and I don't understand that, because you get the kill. You get all the points for taking that, although I should say every kill is worth 1 point, so it's not like it's that big a deal, but you still get the kill, and I get nothing other than the sense of satisfaction of a job well done and knowing that I saved everybody. But it really kind of bugs me that there wasn't something. Just something like, hey, you know what? Every time I give up a card to help somebody else in combat, at least give me a basic good. At least give me some food or some basic resources that I'll be able to use to make up for the fact that I had to sacrifice and I get nothing for it. Because it's the problem of a semi-co-op game is you have to incentivize people to want to help each other. The best games do that, and this game doesn't. The only incentive is, oh, I'll die if I don't help you. But you know what? You'll die too. And so that, I just don't get it. Here's the deal. There are two ways Chaos Cove could have been probably my number 1, 2, or 3, because again, the worker placement is phenomenal. The presentation is great. The game is fast. It's a quick game. It's Martin Wallace. He does this well. He is a great designer. But it's just, there's this weird little thing. I would have loved for this to be either one, a pure co-op. Man, I wish it had rules for just pure co-op. Where, okay, I don't mind giving up my stuff because I'm helping the greater good, and just increase the difficulty. Say we're all playing co-op. We don't care who wins. We just say to win, we have to hold them off. And as a group, we have to make a certain number of victory points, right? That's what we have to do. And then we can all get a co-op win. That would be great. And you just increase the difficulty. And I don't understand why they didn't do that as an alternative. Because suddenly a really brilliant worker placement pure co-op game, those are rare and those are awesome. See the Viticulture expansion is an amazing example of how fun cooperative gameplay can be in worker placement. Heck, see Robinson Crusoe for that matter. So I don't understand why they just didn't have an alternate version where we could play pure co-op. Barring that, I just don't understand why there isn't just a simple little thing to say, oh, whenever I give up a card to help somebody else in combat, I get something, anything, just a coin, something. So I feel a little bit better about it. Either one of those things would make this a top game of the month. It's still a really great game, and Jen and I enjoyed it, but we just found ourselves saying, boy, I just wish I didn't feel like I was being taken advantage of every time I try to help somebody else out, because there's nothing in it for me. I mean, that just says something about me. That says something about the state of humanity, that it should be enough for me to just know that we all live to fight another day, but I still want more. Hence the problems of capitalism, I suppose. But anyway, Chaos Cove is a fascinating game, and for the right group, it's going to be fantastic. And with a couple of tweaks, I think this could have been great for everybody. And fingers crossed, the Martin Wallace and the folks at Ape Games decide, you know what, hey, here's an official variant to turn this into a pure co-op. But we'll see somewhere down the road. But it was a neat game. I enjoyed I'm glad I got to experience it because it's really sharp. The worker placement is next-gen brilliant. Okay, that was number 5. Number 4 of the month is Papyria. And oh my goodness, I always love to play a new game from Mern Eisenstein, the designer of Peloponnese, which for the longest time was in my top 10 games of all time. He's done so many great designs over the years, and his designs are always, they just take regular, normal Euro mechanisms that we've seen a million times before, but they just find new ways to twist them into a fun combination that's just unlike anything else we ever played before, and that's true for Papyria as well. This is set in the early days of not Mesoamerica, because it's set in the Tigris and Euphrates. It's the cradle of civilization, and we're trying to build up our civilizations. Basically, on your turn, it's a double rondel game. It's a rondel within a rondel. On your turn, you are either going to move your ship on the inner rondel, on the Tigris and Euphrates, clockwise around 1 or 2 steps, although you can get upgrades so you can move 3 or 4 steps, and land on a spot. And if you move the inner ship, you get to take, you get to grab a token that makes some element of the game, whether it's temples or cities or forests something that you're trying to develop, makes them more victory point valuable. And so, I'm working on forests. I want to get a lot of those chips that make my forest worth 2, 3, 4, 5, 6x, 7x more potent. I want this forest to be worth 21 points. I want this forest to be worth 28 points. Every time I can pick one of those up, this is a game of huge scoring potential. The ramping up of how much you can score and how much you can do in this game is amazing. But anyway, so if you move your ship around, you grab one of these tokens that makes something more valuable for mid-game and in-game scoring. And you get one of the outer bonuses, which could be a temple or more forest, a tile you can lay, all kinds of things. If instead you move on the outer rondel, which is on the outskirts, you move one of your little travelers, one of your little nomads, and when they land on a spot, they do not get the chips that make things more valuable. Instead, you get 2 resources instead of 1. The inner, you get a bonus, a point multiplier, and a single resource. If you work on the outer, you get 2 resources instead. Tiles to lay, or the actual tokens that you need to score the stuff. It doesn't do me any good to make my forest worth a lot unless I land on the spaces that give me the opportunity to score my forest. And okay, I can get that now, but I don't want to get it now because I'm still waiting to score to make my forest more valuable. That kind of stuff. Then the other thing too is if I want to go to a spot that you're on or any of my opponents are on, I can kick you out if I give you the very valuable lapis lazuli resource, which is an important thing you need for stuff. And that means you just move forward. So you're happy to get bumped because you're one step closer to where you want to go next, and you've gotten resources, and I've gone where I've gone. But what's more interesting is if I'm on the river and I land on a space where where my traveler is, then I get the most valuable thing, which is, folks, there is so much going on in this game, and a big part of it is tile laying, trying to develop canals and circuits of mountain ranges and forests and all of that to score points. And so, oh my gosh, the perfect tile I want just came up. I want to go over there and grab it, but here's the deal: where I want to put it in my little my little region I'm building up here. I want to put it over there, but my priest explorer is on the other side of the region. I can only put it over there. I need to move that explorer to the other side so I can build where I want to build. And that's why if you can land next to your own pieces, if you're on the outer and you land next to your ship on the inner, or if you move your ship so it lands next to your traveler on the outer, then you can move that priest around so you can build exactly where you need to build. Oh my gosh. I'm just scratching the surface. There is so much going on with this game. You can watch my run-through to see it in action. You can see run-throughs for everything. Links are down in the show notes below. But this game is brilliant. This was my wife's game of the month. She will probably put it in her top 10 or top 15 games of the year. And I think it's great too. I only have one problem with it. And it's a unique problem for me because I play with my wife, Jen, and her alone. And she is a very analysis paralysis prone player. And if you play this game as a 2-player game, you get 2 ships and 2 travelers. So you go from having access if you're playing a 4-player game of this, you have access to 8 actions every turn. If you're playing a 2-player game of this, you have access to 16 different actions every turn with your 4 different characters. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I'm sorry. You go from having access to 4 actions, the normal game, to 8 actions. But then if you start getting upgrades, you can have access to 10, 12, 14, 16 actions. Believe me, I played with my wife. That's the first thing she does. She gets those powers so she can just spend forever analyzing every single move every one of her 4 characters could make every round for peak efficiency. And there have been times I'm playing this game where I've got to get up and walk away from the table and just go check my email and say, call me from the next room. I wish to make it a 2-player game, instead of just having 2 players do the work of 4 players and all the associated analysis paralysis that comes from that, I wish they'd just done the Vlada Shavaddle Dungeon Pets thing of saying, you know what? There are just neutral players that every round, after I go and Jen goes with my single worker or whatever, then they just go automatically and they create obstacles for us to overcome, or they end up bumping us. There could have so easily been an automated system to do it, so that when I play with my wife Jen, she would have 4 or 5 or 6 choices on her turn instead of 10 or 12 or 14 choices to choose from. Because again, this game, every choice you make is so rife with potential. And again, watch my run through to see it in action. I love this game so much. I could have seen this being in one of my top 10 of the year too, if I could play with somebody who was as fast and decisive a turn taker as I am. Because I take turns, I'm just boom, done. And then Jen, she sits down for 4 or 5 minutes while, okay, I already know what my next turn is going to be. Doesn't matter what you do. And that's a problem for me. It's why my wife loves this game to pieces. And I would love to play it at a higher player count, or I would just love an alternate way to tighten the board up. That's what brings Papyria in at number 4 of the month, even though it's one of my wife's favorite games of the year. Okay, then we go on to number 3 of the month, The Builders of Baldur's Gate. And this is a game where we are trying to build up the famous Dungeon and Dragon city of Baldur's Gate. And on your turn, you do one of 3 things. You build a building, which is what you're here to do. The more buildings you build, the more powerful you become, because these buildings, they give you points, both for where you position them on the city, but also when you build a building, that means you play a card that gives you an ongoing special power and a source of points and all of that. So if you've got the resources, you want to build a building, and but there are, at any given time, there are only 8 different spots on the board where you can build. So I might desperately want to build this building, but I want to build it over in that district because I'm trying to get into all the districts for a big bonus, and I'm waiting for an opportunity. But I could build another building over there, but the building I really want to build, I want to put it over there or there on the east. All right, maybe not a good time to build. Okay, maybe I'll wait, because if Jen builds something, what happens? As soon as somebody builds something, that lot is no longer able to build. A tile is drawn from the bag randomly that says, oh, now there's a new lot available to build, and maybe now I'll get to build where I really want to build. So over the course of the game, more and more opportunities to open up, and you always want to be able to strike and build at the moment you need to. So if on a given turn you've got stuff you want to build, but you're not ready to do it yet, instead, every player has 1 worker, and you can send your worker out to any of the districts, and these workers activate very big, powerful actions to harvest resources or draw more cards, all kinds of things. But you've only got 1 worker. And once you sent them out there, they're lost to you until you get them back. So the third thing you can do on your turn is the most important thing. That is gain income. You always get a certain amount of income, and depending on who your associated guild is, you get special powers for your income phase and stuff like that. But more importantly, during your income phase, in addition to getting your basic income, you also get to recall your workers, so you'll be able to use them later, and you get to activate the card of every single building you previously built. And once you've built 5 or 6 buildings, you've created a fun little engine for yourself where, oh, this thing will generate the resources I need for these other 2 things to run. That one will give me points. That one will let me draw cards. And so every time I do income, I'm scoring points because I've got all these things that work really well together. And the engine building in this game is super satisfying. So, timing things. Oh, I need to be ready to build when the opportunity comes up. I need to, figure out when is the best time to use my worker for one special power, knowing that I won't get that worker back for a while. Unless I'm going to then pivot right away and do income, in which case I get them back fast. But that means I'm spending time doing income, which isn't necessarily making as many points as building new buildings. So you got to work those 3 actions out. Now, there's important extra considerations. If I send my worker to a district where you then build a building on your turn, I get my worker back faster. So that means I can rush out and get more stuff done. So I need to be paying attention to what regions are places where people can actually build and where might you want to build, because that means maybe I want to send my worker over there because then you'll give me my worker back. But there's another thing that happens as well. Every time a district of this city gets a new opportunity to build stuff there, it falls under the attention of the attackers. The game never says who the attackers are, if they're monsters or brigands or whatever. But once a given district has had 4 opportunities, or maybe it's 5, I forget, to build in a given spot, show up there, that's when that region gets attacked. And we can see these attacks building up. They're getting closer to attacking. And so not only are we building buildings that give us an engine we can run, but we also need to be building defenses to defend those buildings, to defend our buildings so they don't get destroyed, to defend the regions, because if we are deemed to be the best defender and fight off the invaders, that's another huge source of points. So these are all the things that you're mixing together. Always be building, always be doing income, always trying to get your worker into the right place so that they'll get bumped back to you. Because, when a region gets invaded, that's another way you get your worker back. So you can, jumpstart your next set of turns because those workers are incredibly powerful. And so this game is all about timing, reading what your opponents are going to do so you can take advantage of that. And I like it a lot. It's really, really good. I just have one complaint, and it has to do with the worker bumping. I love worker bumping. It's one of my favorite ways to make a worker placement game fun. And unfortunately, here in this game, in a 2-player, the worker bumping is almost never going to happen. It just isn't, because the board is too big and there are too many other places you could go in a 2-player game. In a 4-player game, you're always going to be bumping somebody every time you build a building because there's 3 other players' workers out there. But in a 2-player game, there's only 1 other player, and the bumping will never happen, and that just makes me sad. In my run through and the final thoughts, I talked about how it could be fixed. I think it would be very, very easy to implement a house rule that could have turned this game into my number 1 of the month. But sadly, it's my number 3, which still ranks very, very high. But as I'm playing it, I'm just wishing the player bumping would happen more often. You can watch my run through. I talk about what the solution would be. I think it'd be a really easy to implement house rule. But the lack of that is what brings Builders of Baldur's Gate into my number 3 spot of the month. Then we've got my number 2 of the month, Skara Brae from Garp Hill Games, and I really enjoyed this game a lot. This is a very pure, elegant goods conversion game. Every round, the first thing we're going to do is draft cards that either give us gatherers who can gather more of the resources we need, or roofs, so we can put roofs over the head of our villagers. Oh, by the way, I should say this is set in prehistory Neolithic times as we try to build up the best, ancient, prehistoric village for success and points and all of that. Set in the Orkney Isles, the Highlands of Scotland. And so the first thing we do every round is we draft a card that makes us more powerful in various different ways. Then we have, in the first round, 1 worker. In the second round, 2 workers. In the third round, 3 workers. In the fourth and final round, we have 4 workers. We send our 4 workers out to our own little village to activate things. Hopefully, putting to good use the stuff we harvested during the first bit. And then we clear our workers out and we draft another card and we just build up. Here's what, this sounds really normal, right? I've seen a million games like this. Here's what makes this game stand out. You very quickly get advanced skills and abilities to harvest lots of resources fast. And you harvest lots of resources, and then often you will convert, like you'll get a cow and then you can slaughter the cow to make hides and bones and food and all kinds of stuff. And one cow could suddenly become one resource. The cow could become 5 resources if you go and cook it, as an example. If that's one of your worker placement actions. And that's cool. Turn 1 resource into 5 resources. Awesome, right? Yeah, it feels great. Because you can use the food to feed your people. You can use the bones, as like a basis for prehistoric technology. You can use the hides to furnish so your people don't go hungry as often. All kinds of cool stuff. Here's the problem, though. You have very limited space to store things. And the more stuff you hoard, the more resources you've got, the more space in your village has to be devoted to storing all this stuff. And the more we spend our time devoted to managing our excess of resources, the more our society starts to build waste, actually creates garbage. And then the garbage starts to compound and takes up more space. And the more space is taken up by all the stuff we're making, but all the garbage we're creating, because we're doing all this, conversion of goods and whatnot, we're getting more garbage. And soon we're running out of space. So a huge portion of our time in this game has to be devoted to prehistoric recycling. And I love that. I love that as a central message. It's important today. It was important in prehistoric times because this is actually based on the real studied history of the people of the Orkney Islands who used their cast-off refuse to build up the next generation of homes for their people. That's the story this game is telling, and I love it being told. And so, and a game that is, this is a game where there are 16 different resources and over 400 different pieces to keep track of all those resources. Let's give you an idea of just how much of a focus there is on gathering and then converting resources. But every time you do it, you're creating problems for yourself unless you can find ways to effectively recycle the waste product of all your success. And that's awesome. My only complaint about this game, it's number 2 of the month. It could have been my number 1 game of the month if you play through 4 rounds. The first round is just kind of ho-hum. I wish it had just been part of setup and we get to the fun, because in round 2, once you've got 2 workers, the game starts getting really interesting and complex and fun. And it's just kind of a bummer that you have to make it through that first 10, 15, 20 minutes of that first round. It's kind of boring before you can get to the fun stuff. It's a minor complaint. I still enjoy the game quite a bit. Just talking about it makes me want to play it. It's my number 2 of the month, Skara Brae. But what is my number 1 of the month? Well, it was a game I did a sponsored preview for. It's Paperback Adventures, an expansion called The Binding Nexus. And I think by now, the crowdfunding campaign is closed for this, but you'll probably still be able to do late pledges and all of that. And if you like word games turned into a deck builder like Paperback, this is from the same publisher, developers, and artists as Paperback, but you like cooperative monster fighting, and you like word games, Paperback Adventures is for you. Although I should say, Paperback Adventures was originally designed as a solo game. And, the original Paperback Adventures came with some simple rules that could give you a basic 2-player cooperative, and it worked okay. I liked it. But the new Binding Nexus expansion, which was one of the things that was being crowdfunded that I covered, creates new co-op rules that allows up to 4 people to cooperatively play and collude and work together to feel much more cooperative than the game did before. And it is so much better now. It has this really cool idea of, if I'm fighting bad guys and I beat my bad guy before you beat your bad guy, because we're still kind of playing our own little solo game, but we have lots of opportunities to help each other, and we have to try to manage the group, because you might be fighting the bad guy that I'm really good at fighting, and we need to get that bad guy over to me. So we're trying to deal with the timing of all the bad guys moving around while still coming up with the best words to do the most damage and level our characters up and all of that fun stuff. But eventually, as the bad guys start going down and there's fewer bad guys for us to fight, a new type of card called, I think it was Unfinished Business, I think is what the name of the card, or something like that. They come in and they become little mini bosses that just continue to nip at our heels as we try to fight down those last few bosses. But now we have these other problems come up that give us new puzzles we have to solve that are different than the normal puzzle of just doing as much damage while having as much defense as possible while trying to make smart words. Now we're trying to make smart words to do completely new things we've never done in the game before. before, and I love that system. It is so much better as a co-op now than it was before, and it was already a good co-op. So I was very excited. I mean, I already loved Paperback Adventures, but now I love it even more, and I cannot wait to get my final version of it. It's why it's my game of the month, the number one of the month, Paperback Adventures, The Binding Nexus. Phew! Oh my gosh, that was a long one, and I want to say thank you again to James Wood, not Woods. I said that wrong a few times last night. It's not James Woods. He is not an actor. He's got a great channel of his own. Links down in the show notes. Thanks to James. And also, thanks to Sonia for stepping up and helping both me and James and Ben and the kids of Uganda have a better tomorrow. Folks, I talked about it right up front. There's a link for it right at the top of the show notes that you can go and donate and help make the lives of these kids better. So in closing, once again, I beseech you to take a look and see if there's something that you can do. Or if nothing else, just spread the word. Talk about this. Share the links for other people to be able to make this the best Uganda Village board game convention ever. So, thanks to all of you for watching and listening, and all the folks who help keep Rahdo running. Thank you, James, for making my life so much better. I am going to put all these videos together and send them to you, and now you've got to do all the hard work and make me look good. And we will see you again next month, folks, for another roundup. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.